Hello my YouTube family, what is going on? It has been a very long time since I have checked in with you guys. There's just been a lot happening in life, as I'm sure has been happening in your lives as well. So we are now in the year 2024 and it is January. So I'm based in NYC and it's just been like so cold and icy the last couple days. We finally got some snow and it froze over. And yeah, so now it's slippy and slidey outside and just kind of gray and overcast. So that's, not so fun. Let me know if you guys are also based in NYC or if it's been a winter wonderland where you guys have lived. Today, I really just wanted to talk to you guys about the process of going through a bulk. I know that in the fitness space, it can be really confusing where you might need to start, if you need to start cutting, maintaining, bulking, resistance training, cardio, etc., etc. So let's talk about if you need to go through a bulk. A bulk is a phase where you are intentionally gaining weight so that you can put on muscle mass. This phase is pretty much reserved for people who are very, very lean and slender and maybe don't have like hardly any muscle mass. And they are the type of people typically who just look like lean and slim and small no matter how much they're eating. And if they're trying to build shape to their body, they might go through a bulking process to get in more calories to help them put on muscle. And that could be for someone who's new to resistance training or someone who is not new to resistance training. Another reason you might go through a bulk is if you are someone who is like myself, is I spent a couple years focusing on implementing resistance training and getting better at the skill, starting to lift heavier, lift more weights, and increasing my protein intake and all of those things. And I was getting results from doing that as a beginner who was newer to resistance training. So I lost a little bit of fat, I built some muscle, but I was not as lean as I wanted to be. I still had a little bit more fat like in my lower stomach, on my back, in my thighs, and I wanted to achieve a leaner look, but I also wanted to do that in a sustainable manner, not where I just have to live on a super low calorie intake for the rest of my life just to maintain those results, because that sucks. It's shitty. Like, I live in New York City. I want to go out to restaurants, have a cocktail, go on date nights, hang out with my friends. And even though I don't drink a lot of alcohol and I like a lot of healthy foods, I still want more food flexibility than a 1,500 calorie diet could allot me. So my goal with the bulk is to put on weight so that I can build up more muscle. Having more muscle on your frame increases the metabolic rate that your body has. So essentially, your body now requires more calories in a day to keep itself living just because you have more muscle tissue on your frame. Muscle tissue is also more dense than fat is, so it helps you get that leaner look. And of course, whenever you have muscle on your frame, it builds shape. It gives you the tone that a lot of people talk about, and have, less fat on your body to also show that tone. You'll notice that a lot of people who have gone through multiple periods of bulking, cutting, reverse dieting, bulking, cutting, blah, 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 they are able to maintain a very lean shape, a very toned look. And a lot of people are eating a lot of calories whenever they're doing that. Whereas whenever I started, I was eating around 1,600 calories a day and I looked athletic, but I didn't have that really lean look. This person eating 2,400 calories, they're eating so much, but they are way more toned and way more lean than my physique. That's amazing. That's exactly what I'm trying to achieve. And it takes time to get there. And the process that you need is to go through dedicated phases of putting muscle on your frame. So you use a bulk to put muscle on your frame. So you are intentionally gaining weight for a period of time to help you build muscle. Super important to know is that whenever you are gaining weight and you are building muscle mass, not all of the weight that you're gaining is pure muscle. In about 6 months, I put on 12 pounds and I've been maintaining my new weight for several weeks. 12 pounds, whenever I packed on 12 pounds, It's not 12 pounds of pure muscle. Whenever you gain 12 pounds, some of that is water weight. Some of that is the weight of your internal organs increasing a little bit. It's a little bit more carbohydrates that's stored in your muscles. And it is definitely some fat gain as well. So I was okay gaining fat because I was mentally prepared for it. Whenever you're getting fat, I feel like people totally freak out because they're just like, oh my God, I'm just going to become a blob, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be gross. I'm going to be so flabby and disgusting. And I mean, I'm definitely a little bit softer than I was. And I do have more weight in my belly because that's just naturally where I carry more weight, is in my belly, my back, my thighs. And yeah, like it's a bit softer, it's a little bit more noticeable, but I'm still confident in myself and I still really love my frame. That's like a side effect that I was totally prepared for, and I'm okay with that in order to reach the long-term goals, right? It's easy to be distracted by the short term, like I just want results. And honestly, that ends up getting people not the results that they're looking for when they are very, very short-sighted. So I wanted to keep the long-term journey in mind because it is going to be so much more beneficial for me in the long run. My lowest weigh-in over the summer was 132 pounds, and I now weigh 144 pounds. So my exercise regime during this time has been to resistance train 3 full body days in a week. I'm not hitting the gym 5 or 6 times a week, not at all. I've just been prioritizing within those workouts the muscle groups I'm trying to grow, and that helps keep the workouts on the shorter end, around 45 minutes. And it allows me to just only hit the gym 3 times a week as opposed to hitting the gym 5 times a week, because you're trying to grow everything all at once, right? So my first couple months I dedicated to building shoulders, quads, abs, and then I transitioned and started to focus still on shoulders, abs, but now a little bit more back and more glutes over quads. Now that I've gone through my bulk, my clothes, of course, fit so much differently than they used to. And a lot of my pants specifically don't fit, like pants, skirts, and stuff that I bought over the summertime from like vintage, clothes, whatever. A lot of them are not fitting. And that's okay. I totally knew that was going to happen. I think sometimes it shocks me a little bit. I'll try to wiggle something on and I just can't get it past my thighs, and then it just squeezes into my waist. So I've had to kind of figure out what clothes I feel really good in still without spending so much money on new clothes. That was a goal of mine, is that I didn't want to spend a lot of money just like buying a bunch of new things. So that has been something that has been once in a while, maybe a little you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, you just feel a little bit like a hippo. I'm not gonna lie and say that I felt amazing every single day, every single outfit, etc., etc. But again, I felt good for the most part and still very happy in my body, very happy just working towards goals that I know are going to serve me in the long run. I have been maintaining my weight for the past few weeks. I'm going to just continue maintaining my weight and eating the same amount of calories for the next week or two and start my cut at the beginning of February. So I intend my cut to be anywhere from 12 to 15 weeks long and a nice slow cut. Let's talk a little bit more about the bulk. So a normal bulk can have you gaining weight week to week, or week to every other week, anywhere from around half a pound of weight gain per week up to 1 pound of weight gain per week is gonna be a good rate to start with. I would say for women, and especially I'm petite, I am only 5'1". I definitely wanted to go a slower bulking route because I did not want to gain too much fat too quickly. The more calories you add in, the more at a time, the more chance you have of putting on more fat than actual muscle, because your body doesn't have the tools to build up the muscle like this. It's not instantaneous, right? So I went with trying to aim for about half a pound per week, and I actually ended up doing just that. So I will say that along the journey, it's not like I was gaining weight at exactly 0.5 week to week to week. Sometimes it would be, I would gain 0.3 pounds. Sometimes I would gain 0.7 pounds. And that journey would vary a little bit, but whenever you end up and do the math, the eventual weight gain equals about 0.5. And now for the past month or so, I've just been maintaining my 144 pounds, and I've just been hovering there. You guys can compare these two photos. One photo is whenever I finished my cut and I was 132 pounds. This was a very recent photo of me finishing my bulk, and I'm just maintaining that weight, and I'm 144 pounds. I've just lost a little bit of definition, and I'm not as lean as I was in the previous photo. And you know, again, like I said, that's totally okay for me. It's part of the process. So I'm really excited to start a cut and see and kind of reveal some of the results that I've been working hard for over the past 7 months or so. You guys, a very important aspect to that bulking process is naturally you are gaining weight, so you are eating more food. So I worked my calories up from around 1,700 at the end of my deficit, and now at the end of my bulk, and now what I've been maintaining on is 2,500 calories. So it's a very large difference of the amount of calories that I'm able to consume in a day. And it's just been amazing because I have so much more flexibility in my food. And for me, naturally, it was very hard to push to that high amount. And so I'm able to enjoy pretty much any food that I like. I eat Ben & Jerry's ice cream like maybe 2 times a week. I have what I consider to be sweets and treats every single day. I'm not worried whenever I go out to eat. I normally am not a person who overeats, or I'm not very much of like an egregious eater. So for me, I've had to work very hard to actually push my calories even high enough. And for me, the best way to do that is to include some foods that are definitely more calorie dense and certain amounts of junk foods. People would definitely call it, but I'm still adhering to my protein, and I'm still getting enough of that protein intake, and I'm hitting my calorie targets as I'm supposed to hit them to gain the amount of weight that I'm supposed to be gaining. Now, whenever I go through a diet phase, now I can diet from 2,500 calories as opposed to 2,200 calories, right? So I've allotted myself now 300 to 400 more calories of wiggle room. And a good deficit can already start on maybe a 250 to 300 calorie deficit. So now I can start my deficit around 2,200 calories. Me eating 2,200 calories a day as a deficit, to me, is still a good amount of food, and it's a lot of food compared to what I was used to in the past. So I expect it's going to be a very sustainable diet for me to go through. So super excited about that. So it's one other benefits to actually going through a bulking phase. Okay, so that is truly it, what I have for you guys. I will catch you in another video.